Hello Sensuals! This week I'm going to address another question that I got from the women's community in which I'm doing articles on sexuality. Now, if you haven't heard me say this before, it's been some time that I've received this invitation to do a sexuality and sexual development column on a women's publication in Romania. I do the articles in Romanian, but my vlogs are still in English, so they're still for everyone. And one of the articles that I began with was to get the readers to send in questions about what they wanted to know on sexuality, obviously. Now this week I'm going to take a question from a woman who sent in her predicament. How do you rekindle, how do you re-begin the sexual relationship in a marriage of 20 years? Now, I'm not going to take this one as a therapy approach because I am first and foremost not a therapist and this would not be the appropriate setting to do it anyway. But I just want to take it from a perspective that nobody has probably been presenting you, at least in public speeches. So my question, number one, to you is, do you really want to have sex with your husband of 20 years, or are you okay with the way things are right now? The reason I ask this so bluntly is because probably not too many people are aware or familiar with the fact that feelings, emotions, attractions can transform over time. There is this widespread expectation that if we feel in a certain way for somebody in a moment, we will feel that way. So our emotions and our feelings can transform. If the relationship has been natural and harmonious and fulfilling for the both of you, then you need to be aware that relationships in their best possible approach are actually there to transform you. Not just in your sexuality, in a whole lot more areas of your life. So if they are done right and if they are in congruence with your internal being and your desires and the both of you actually, then things will transform. And in many cases, people who have had such a loving relationship and affectionate and sexual, they can find that over time, say 20 years in this case, they can still be the best of friends, the best of partners, they can be affectionate, they can be the best of parents, and yet sexual tension is not there. Not necessarily in a bad way, it's just transformed. And although many of us regard marriage as for life, I will argue that this is just a much more complex relationship, because it's not just a commitment between the two of you. When you get married, you take a commitment with society as well. This is a social, engagement in a way. So that's why it's more complex. But they don't necessarily have to end when death do us part. Marriages can end because the two partners have transformed so much and they've turned their feelings into higher affection, higher emotions, but they're not sexual tension anymore. And people can remain in a different kind of relationship, not necessarily a man-woman couple relationship. So if things have been good for you, and if you've been developing, both of you, if you're developing a lot here, this can be a natural outcome, and it's not to be frightened of, or it's not the end of the world. On the other hand, if the relationship hasn't been so fulfilling, it hasn't been so great, you've been tried and tested with a lot of turbulations throughout your life, then yes, sexual energy can be drained out, because this is the energy that it keeps you alive. It gives you tonus. It gives you energy for everything that you do. And if you consume a lot of your energy on just being there to, survive, trying to stay afloat somehow, then yes, sexual drive can go down. Libido can go down. So your desire, your sexual desire can go down. Now in this case, if it is the case with you, what I would first and foremost do is work on yourself, the woman who's asking this question, the one that is worried actively worried about this and is seeking solutions. Now, the first thing to do is work on yourself, and meditation can help a lot. Prayer is another form of meditation, so I'm not sure what your age is, and if meditation is just too new age for you, prayer, which is much more traditional, it can help. Why? Because you connect with yourself. If you get into it deeper, whether it's again meditation or prayer, your breathing will tend to get more regulated, and with proper breath comes a lot of there are a lot of other benefits. You relax yourself, you calm yourself down. In many cases, you can have oxytocin and dopamine hormones secreted, and those are the love and bonding hormones. Now, not too many people have this intense experiences with meditation or prayer. It does take a lot of practice. But if in your marriage you stayed there for 20 years, it's not going to be a lot of time to ask, say 2 months, to work on this as a daily practice. Anything that will get you to stay well with yourself. Again, if you've been tried and tested by life and the way your relationship has been, you need to rebuild yourself from the inside. That is number one. Number two, there are a lot of sexual practices that are meant to awaken your desire slowly. Those are tantric practices. They are mainly with breath, but then they are also with certain body movements. It would be Kegel exercises with focusing on your breath as well. Now, I can't explain them in this vlog, but I can definitely invite you to follow my channel or other channels if you want, because I will be doing programs for this also. Regardless if you've been married 20 years or if you haven't been married at all, these things help. And it's always a good thing to start with yourself. Your husband of 20 years will definitely feel on the long run that your energy shifts. If you harness your sexual and erotic energy, it's going to start transpiring to the outside, and he'll pick it up. He's the one living with you day by day, so he can't ignore it. This is in a nutshell. Of course, the process is much longer, and again, I would invite you to take coaching on sexuality or therapy. It's not that there's something wrong with you, it's that these people who are providing coaching or therapy, they have been trained in this area and they can be of help. They can help you expedite things, and they can help you discover many things about yourself as well. So you should never rule these things out at all. And remember, it does take time, as with anything. You've been married 20 years, so you didn't get here to this point just out of, out of the blue or overnight. No, it was 20 years, so give it time. And try to read books, try to watch documentaries. A lot of my vlogs contain also links to resources that you can find useful. So stay optimistic and yes, stay in this search, because it's bound to give you a lot of beautiful information and knowledge. And if you commit to this and if you stick to it, it can bring you visible physical results. So I hope that you have a beautiful marriage in 20 years from now on also. And I also hope that you have a beautiful intimate life, first and foremost with yourself and then with your husband. Of my beloved Satana, Satana.